Hey guys, so Shizzy is hitting the fizzy, or as my German viewers would probably say, die Kacke ist am Dampfen in Iceland, in the area of Grindavik, and Eddie is agreeing if you heard him growl there in the background. So guys, this video is filled with a lot of information because a lot is happening in Iceland. So we want to talk about the whole situation on the Reykjanes Peninsula and the future for Grindavik. There has been an interesting interview, what could happen with the town, but what could happen with the whole Reykjanes Peninsula and what's happening with the eruption that keeps going while there's another land rise accumulating under the Blue Lagoon in the Swartsengi area, like a situation that they have never had before in Iceland or any other country. So there's new information what might happen in the next few seconds, minutes, or hours, because another event is imminent. But let's start with what's happening with the defense wall around Grindavik. The northern part of the defense wall, the sneaky lava as I call it, has breached the defense wall, and it has basically moved over the defense wall. How can it do it? Because there's no red glowing lava river anywhere visible. And we know basically the last few weeks the lava has building up on top of each other. So gradually increasing the height of this lava carpet that's spreading from the eruption mostly to the south where Grindavik is and the sea. So how did it do this? There's some underground tube system like a lava river that sends the lava underneath the solidified rocks that you see on the surface, the black rocks, and it sends this sneaky lava towards the defense walls. And it could either sneak underneath the defense walls, burning its way through that lava rock defense wall. It's made of solidified lava rock, so it's the same material, so it can melt that. But as it was gradually pushing up, it has breached over and it's gradually moving like a monster over the defense wall. And you see here, it's impressive. I mean, that is nature, how high this is. So these defense walls are approximately maybe at least 8 meters high, but they said that they did increase the height of the defense walls in these areas. So maybe it is as high as 16 meters. I can't exactly tell you because they haven't released a diagram or anything where they say how high the defense walls are where, but certainly this is the area where the lava was flowing against. So I believe they have increased the height. And we know that the lava carpet has building up to an average of at least like 15 to 20 meters in most areas. And you see here on that map that they released, in the area where we're looking at, it's very high. And of course it's the highest around the lava cone that is still erupting. But this is very interesting to see how Mother Nature is grinding through. So what they're saying and what the Icelandic Meteorological Office is saying right now, this is a minor breach and that lava is not flowing fast as it's not liquid anymore. It's like solidified rock with that tube coming from underneath that is still liquid, but it's grinding slower, it's crawling, it's moving. So far at the moment there is no threat to the town of Grindavik, but and here comes the but, if the current eruption increases again, that could certainly be the case. So I guess they have to send the workers from Fraggle Rock, as I always say, have to send the Fraggles back out there to probably increase or widen that defense wall as fast as possible, because the next event is imminent and we don't know. Will it just increase the current eruption? Will there be another fissure that gets longer very quickly? That is one of the scenarios that they think is most likely. Like up to a 3-kilometer long fissure could open and start spewing lava. We'll talk about why. There's a good explanation why very, very soon in a few seconds. So the eruption could also happen closer to Grindavik. There could be a new fissure in a different area, maybe closer to Grindavik, maybe inside Grindavik, maybe inside Swartsengi. It is all possible. The most likely scenario is probably somewhere along the recent cone that is still erupting, but as I said, it can get longer it can stretch out in these areas. So right now they're monitoring that breach, but it's not traveling fast so far, no danger from that. I just wanted to show you here, there's an overview of all these defense walls that you see, and there's a little break in that one defense wall, and then there comes the next one, and I think it's where the breach is, it's close to the end of that defense wall here, and that's why you can see the sea from that picture that has been done from the television newspaper station ruv.is. That's a webcam's screenshot, so to speak. So you see the sea, and then you see the road there. They were worried that the lava might breach that road. That's an access road to the other communities that are a little bit further east of Grindavik. So it hasn't crossed that road yet, and it hasn't flown into the sea, where it will cause quite an reaction if the lava meets the water. That can cause chlorine gas and have an explosive reaction. But that's not the case right now, but it can't be ruled out if the eruption is increasing the speed again. The magma is accumulating underneath Swartsengi. Around 11 million cubic meters are in that magma chamber again. And if you look at the recent earthquakes here, there is the Reykjavik Peninsula down at the bottom of Iceland. There's new earthquakes, there's something happening again. There's earthquakes that are over the magnitude 1, and overall it's basically all along the North Atlantic ridge where the two tectonic plates are dividing away from each other. They're spreading away from each other, which allows magma from underground getting into that rift area, and that's where you see all these clustered earthquakes here on the Reykjavik Peninsula. And what are they doing in Grindavik? They have conducted a test of their evacuation alarms. You know, they have, I think in January, they have installed warning sirens as well as in Swartsengi, and those have been used. Unfortunately too late, because they have only been used once the eruption was already happening, right? We've seen that Walk With Me Tim video where he wakes up in his hotel room, the sirens are going, and he looks out of the window and he sees the eruption in full force. The skies are red. But they have these sirens. They have conducted another test. They have told the residents, don't be worried, it's just a test. But you know, I think these sirens will probably be used in the not very far future. It could happen at any second. That's what they're saying. Then the police of Sudurns has released a warning on their Facebook site. I hope the stupid tourists are reading these Facebook sites, but I just doubt it. But the police in Sudurns is asking to people not to go, not to hike to this volcanic eruption. It's too dangerous. And you see the post here, they're saying, for your information, as it was reported in the news tonight, the situation is like that at the eruption areas, according to the scientists, that it is certainly only a matter of time when there will power be added to the current eruption or when a new eruption will open. So it was stated that the warning time could be very short and that the area could become more dangerous by the day. So we therefore want people to not go to the eruption on foot. But we know people are stupid. They don't listen, right? Hikers had to be rescued on their way there. Some stupid people were thinking it's a cool idea to go to the hot lava, put a pan on it and cook some sausages. Some guy thought it's a good idea to take a dacha on the lava and do some off-road shit there, which didn't really go too well. So the Tourist Association has formed a gremium that wants to build a parking lot and a hiking trail to that eruption to haul in more tourists into the danger zone, which where you think like, are you out of your mind? Civil Defense has basically said that's crazy, right? Because you're building a parking lot right under the Axis magma tunnel that is feeding the current eruption, and then people would be hiking right towards the area where the lava might flow towards them if there is a new eruption, or they could be right on top of the area where the new eruption comes out of it, right? So stupid things, stupid people called for stupid things. But what I want to talk to you about is something that is very interesting, what Magnus Tumi Gudmundsson has said. He's a professor of geophysics at the University of Iceland. When he was asked, what do you think is going to happen? You know, will there be a new eruption? Will this eruption be stronger or new fissures? What does he think? So he thinks it's more reasonable to estimate that the current eruption will potentially grow all over a sudden. Like from 1 second to the other, it's going to be like way more stronger. So a new eruption in the old eruption, so to speak. So that's why he says, while we consider that the eruption would grow and increase again, that's what could happen. The measurements don't go far enough back for the scientists to know if that's a common behavior or not. Because let's say, you know, if this eruption had occurred 60 to 70 years ago, there was no measurement in place that could have given them valuable information that they could use today. He thinks it could be the case. It's not unlikely that this current eruption increases in the same way as in other eruptions that could be referenced regarding similar circumstances, so that it could increase again. But they've never had a situation like this before, that simultaneously, while this one eruption is going, the magma chamber underneath Swartsengi is filling up again. It's a strange scenario that leaves a lot of uncertainty here, because there's no precedence for that all over the world. And he also speaks about the big picture, what's going on the Reykjanes Peninsula in the coming years, decades, or even centuries. So he thinks that there is no end in sight, that the sequence of events that we've seen basically since the Fagradalsfjall eruptions started in 2021, that there is no end in sight. Also to the events that we've been seeing the last few months, that basically once a month we have an event happening, an intrusion or an eruption. His conclusion is that this is telling us that this could continue and that they don't know for how long. They just don't know. But one interesting thing that he says, and that gives you a little bit of an estimate of how much more magma we could expect. He says, if they look at the amount of magma that has come up in similar eruptions, so they think that what has happened in the last few years since Fagradalsfjall, maybe only a third of what could be expected in the next decades. So he says, well, we don't know that time frame, maybe in the next 20 to 30 years. So he was very careful with how to word that, because they just don't know, guys. They don't know. It could happen in the next year, 2 years. Who knows? Because he says his science is struggling to give a clear prediction. The science is not that far advanced like other sciences, so that they could give predictions or predict that model. They just can't. You just have to wait and see, and they will be caught by surprise many more times. I'm very sure of that. But however, he thinks that we will not see continuous eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula over the next years or decades. So he says the current behavior does not indicate that. I wonder why he thinks that, because that magma chamber that we have been watching since November 10th certainly does not show any signs that the deeper magma reservoir is stopping to feed it, right? It shows a continuous flow of events. So he thinks there could be breaks and then the eruptions could resume. And he thinks, well, maybe 100 years could pass, a break of 100 years until the next eruption. But he says, we don't know that. So this is just throwing something against the wall and then see later if it sticks. Definitely, these eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula are a long haul that can persist for a considerable time with the mentioned breaks. And that's why he says, and that's interesting for Grindavik. He says that's why it's very well worth trying to protect Grindavik as much as possible and to utilize the town when the eruptions ease. So he advises against not giving up Grindavik. So that's going to be interesting, because right now the people are trying to get rid of their homes in Grindavik. They are being bought out by a company that has been formed just for the purpose to buy out these homes through the government, with the natural disaster insurance, with the help of pension funds and banks, so that the residents of Grindavik can get away from Grindavik. They are talking about, well, they have first right to buy the homes back, but you know, this is still in the process. The residents are very, very angry that there's a lot of uncertainty and mystery around this. The government's not very clear, and they don't get their shit together, so to speak. It's not fast enough. But this is an interesting sentence, because we haven't heard that before, that they should try to protect Grindavik. But the ground underneath Grindavik is like a Swiss cheese, with all these magma intrusions and cracks that have opened and sinkholes that have opened. I mean, lots of these cracks have been there for decades, centuries, right? Some of them have widened, got deeper through the earthquake swarms and the events that have happened since November 10th. So the overall question is this a safe area, right? We have seen since these eruptions and intrusions, there are land subsidences in Grindavik. The sickle valleys have formed along the magma dike of November 10th and then the January event. So that's why foundations have tilted, homes have tilted, cracks. So all these damages to the homes. Does this make sense to rebuild? I don't know, because this could happen again at any time. And the problem is, well, okay, great if it takes a break for 100 years, but you don't know that. That's the problem. Could only take a break for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? That's the difficulty here. So he mentions Grindavik. He says there's considerable activity underway, which is important to minimize the damage from these volcanic forces. And of course, he says the short-term situation is full of caveats, but the long-term outlook suggests that we will see this development continue for a considerable time, and we must be prepared for that. Yeah, but how can you right? How can you prepare yourself for that, especially since there's so much uncertainty in this? But on the other hand, this is what Iceland is. I mean, if you have to take it as it is, because there's not that much land available where you could settle in Iceland. So I guess the question is either take it or leave it, right? So do they have that much choice? So since the Grindavik residents have been quite angry about everything is going, something has been changed to coordinate everything that's going on in Grindavik a little bit better. So they have hired a team leader, basically to coordinate things for Grindavik. I thought that the police chief of Sudorns and the mayor of Grindavik and the civil defense, they have done this all together. So I'm not 100% sure what that person should do, but maybe they want someone at the front that speaks out better or connects better between the mayor and the officials and the government officials. I don't know. So his name is Gylfi Thorsteinsson. I think that's the pronunciation. He was the team leader at the Red Cross, or he is, and he's been temporarily hired by the Prime Minister's office to lead coordination regarding Grindavik. So the cabinet has made this announcement, and his duties will be, among other things, to coordinate communication and information provision to Grindavik regarding the eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula. So I don't really know. We will see over time what this job really will be. I mean, they're saying he has extensive experience with complex and large-scale projects. These include the reception of refugees from Ukraine, the installation and operation of epidemic shelters during the coronavirus pandemic, as well as other work for the Red Cross. I don't know if receiving refugees is really comparable to what's going on here with a natural disaster. I was a little skeptical when I read this announcement. I don't really know how he fits into the picture, but we will see, right? Let's give him a chance. Maybe that makes the residents of Grindavik happier or more confident. Maybe that's what they need. I mean, at least something's being done by the government, but you know, Someone needs to push the butts of these bureaucrats to get ahead with the payout so that the residents can move on, because most of them want to move on. But, you know, check my other videos for that. I've talked about this to a certain extent in other videos already. So yeah, guys, that was my update about sneaky lava in Iceland, and another one will come soon. There's more earthquakes, it's more rumbling in Italy at the super volcano as well, and all over the world. So check out my channel, leave this video a like if you can. I would be very grateful for that. And yeah, if you want to support my channel, check out the link in the description of this video to my buymeacoffee.com/silky site. There you can see what I'm using this channel for, to support my farm, to support my animals. And of course, thank you so much for your ongoing support, for your supers here on YouTube. I really, really appreciate this. And I hope to see you very, very soon, guys, so that we can see what's next for the Reykjanes Peninsula in Iceland. I'm out of here. Weather is super bad right now. It's pouring rain, but if you have animals, the horses need to be taken care of and fed. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. And I see you very soon. Bye-bye.